Good evening, saints. Good evening, strangers. Good evening to the deacons, who are currently arguing in the boiler room about whose turn it is to hold the tray on the aisle side, unaware that the boiler room has been listening to their arguments for 6 decades and has taken sides. This is Deseret Radio. I am broadcasting, as always, from the supply closet of the abandoned Chevron on Highway 36. The coffee machine is in a good mood tonight. I want to be clear that I did not do anything to cause this. It dispensed a cup of something warm and amber that smells faintly of cinnamon and second chances. I did not drink it. I am not a fool. But I did sit near it for a while, and I will admit I felt briefly forgiven for things I have not yet done. The clock on the wall is showing the correct time. I know. I checked twice. When a clock in this station tells the truth, it means the universe has decided we are old enough to handle it. Do not waste this. Call your mother. The fluorescent lights are humming the third verse of If You Could Hide to Kolob. Nobody ever sings the third verse of If You Could Hide a Kolob. The lights say that is exactly why they chose it. The lights have a point. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by the foyer. That sacred 20 minutes between meetings where all actual ward business is conducted, all real doctrine is exchanged, and all meaningful eye contact is avoided. The foyer, where we should get together sometime, goes to live forever. Listeners, we begin tonight with a mystery. On Sunday morning, at approximately 8:15 a.m., Brother Lund, the ward's perpetually early sacrament coordinator, a man who arrives before the sun out of what I can only describe as competitive piety, entered the chapel to prepare the sacrament table. He pulled back the white cloth, and there, on the tray, where the bread should be, was a loaf. Not the bread, a loaf. Not the standard issue, store-brand white sandwich bread, torn by a hungover deacon into cubes of varying structural integrity. This was a whole loaf, golden, braided, slightly domed the way bread rises when someone has spoken kindly to it. It was still warm. Brother Lund did what any of us would do. He checked the kitchen. Empty. He checked the clerk's office. Locked. He checked the fridge in the Relief Society room, which contains only a jar of pickles from the second Bush administration, and something wrapped in foil that the ward has agreed, by silent treaty, never to investigate. No one had brought the loaf. No one had baked the loaf. No one, as of this broadcast, has claimed the loaf. Brother Lund then did the second thing any of us would do. He woke up the bishop. A correction from a previous broadcast. We reported that the chapel vacuum drew the word hollow in dust across the cultural hall tile. This was incorrect. The word was hallow. We regret the error. Facilities regrets the error. The vacuum has not commented, but it did unplug itself for an hour on Tuesday in what witnesses describe as a clear sulk. Additionally, we reported that Brother Chase was recovering in the nursery, where the toddlers had given him a plastic banana and asked him to think about his choices. The toddlers have taken the banana back. They say he knows what he did. Chase says he does not know what he did. Both parties have agreed to circle back. Back to the loaf. Bishop Rawlings arrived at 8:40 a.m., wearing the expression of a man who has been bishop long enough to know that this is how it starts. He lifted the cloth. He looked at the loaf for a long time. Then he convened an emergency meeting of the bishopric in the foyer. This is the correct protocol. The Church Handbook of Instructions contains no guidance on unsolicited bread. There is a section on the sacrament. There is a section on emergencies. There is no section on what to do when the sacrament appears to have handled itself. The first counselor, Brother Okafor, argued the loaf could not be used, as its provenance was unknown, and provenance matters. He cited the word of wisdom, the law of witnesses, and a story from his mission in which a similar situation ended with a missionary eating dinner at a stranger's house every night for 6 weeks. The second counselor, Brother Delgado, argued the loaf should be used, as it was warm, and he did not want to be the kind of man who sees a miracle and asks for a receipt. Bishop Rawlings said nothing for a long moment. Then he said, "Where is the regular bread?" And that, listeners, is when the meeting truly began, because the regular bread, the 2 loaves of store-brand white that Sister Ellsworth's son was supposed to drop off Saturday night, was gone. The pantry shelf where it always sits was bare except for a fine dusting of flour. The flour had been arranged in a shape. The shape was a beehive. Let's go to the community calendar. Monday, family home evening. The activity is getting to know your neighbors. Your neighbors already know you. They have known you for years. They know about the recycling bin you put out on the wrong day every single week, Brother Stanton. They have chosen to love you anyway. Bring a treat, not the good treats. The treats you bring when it's technically your turn. Tuesday, the Elders' Quorum will meet at 7 p.m. to help the family on Maple Street move. There is no family on Maple Street. There has never been a family on Maple Street. The sign-up sheet is full. Everyone is looking forward to it. This is the healthiest thing the Quorum has done all year. Wednesday, Youth Activity Night. The young women will be practicing advanced looming in the Cultural Hall. The young men will be learning to tie the bowline, the clove hitch, and one additional knot that Brother Ashworth learned from a man at a gas station who may have been a neophyte. The knot cannot be untied. Please tie it responsibly. Thursday, Ward Council. Agenda Item 1, the humming. Agenda Item 2, the humming continued. Agenda Item 3, old business, which is also the humming. Friday. The monthly Linger Longer has now been ongoing for 407 consecutive days. It began as a potluck in March of last year and simply never dispersed. The attendees have formed committees. There is a mayor. Relief Society sisters who wander in thinking it's a new event are gently oriented by the old-timers and given a folding chair with their name already taped to the back. Visitors are welcome. Leaving is not forbidden. It is just that no one has thought to try. Saturday, Stake Blood Drive. Give blood. The stake needs it. Do not ask why the stake needs it in that tone of voice, Brother Hendricks. We have all read the same pamphlet. And now a word from our sponsor. Has this happened to you? You're driving down I-15 in the family minivan, 185,000 miles, 3 permanent goldfish cracker fossils in the seat cushions, a faint smell you have all agreed is just how it smells now, when a light appears on the dashboard. A light shaped like nothing in the manual, a light shaped like a tiny glowing beehive. Covenant Keeper's extended minivan warranty has you covered. For a low monthly premium, payable by check, Venmo, or 1-1 casserole delivered to our office in the basement of the old seminary building, Covenant Keepers will protect your minivan against transmission failure, transmission of generational guilt, mysterious dents that appear overnight in the chapel parking lot and match no vehicle currently registered in the ward, voices from the heating vents that know all the words to Called to Serve, including the verses nobody sings, upholstery that has begun to remember. Our certified mechanics have over 900 combined years of experience. 2 of them have been dead since 1974. They are, frankly, our best technicians. Punctual, quiet, unbothered by the cold. Covenant Keeper's extended minivan warranty. Because your minivan has carried your family through every stage of life, and it has earned the right to be driven into the millennium. Side effects may include your minivan developing opinions about your driving. It already had them. Now it shares them. Back to the chapel, where the situation has developed. With the regular bread missing and the morning advancing, Bishop Rawlings made the only decision available to a man of his temperament. He authorized a taste test, for discernment purposes. Brother Okafor broke off a small piece first. He chewed slowly. His eyes widened. Then, listeners, Brother Okafor, a man whose emotional range runs from mildly approving to present, Brother Okafor put his hand over his mouth and began to cry. "It tastes," he said, "like the Accra Third Branch, 1994, before the chapel had a roof. We took the sacrament under a mango tree, and the bread was baked by Sister Mensa in a tin oven, and I have not thought about that morning in 30 years, and I am thinking about it now." Brother Delgado took a piece. He closed his eyes. He said nothing at all. He simply nodded, once, the way you nod at an old friend across a crowded room. Word spread, as word does. By 9:50 a.m., half the ward leadership had tasted the loaf, and each of them reported the same impossible thing. It tasted like the ward they grew up in. Sister Barlow tasted the Ogden 12th Ward, 1962. She tasted the bread baked by Sister Voorhees, who had hands like flour-dusted catcher mitts and no patience for nonsense. Sister Barlow sat down on the front pew and was quiet for 11 minutes. Sister Barlow is never quiet. The building held its breath with her. Brother Hendricks tasted the loaf and immediately filed a concern that it had been braided rather than torn, which was irregular. Then he tasted it again and withdrew the concern. Then he wept. Brother Hendricks has prepared a list about this. It is 4 pages long. The first 3 pages are concerns. The 4th page is just the word grandma written 17 times, each time more sincerely. And now, it is time for the LDS Folklore Hour. Tonight's entry concerns the bench outside the bishop's office. Every meeting house has one. It is a long, low bench, upholstered in a fabric that has never been manufactured, in a color that exists nowhere else in nature, a color best described as waiting. It sits directly outside the bishop's door, and it has been there longer than the building has. Here is what the folklore says. When you sit on the bench, you are joining a queue, but it is not the queue you think. People have reported sitting on the bench behind 3 others and being called in first. People have reported sitting alone on the bench and waiting 2 hours while, somewhere behind the door, muffled voices discuss things in no hurry whatsoever. This is because the queue is not ordered by arrival. It is ordered by readiness. The bench knows why you are there before you do. You may arrive with a tithing question and leave with a calling. You may arrive to complain about the hymn selection and leave having forgiven your brother. You may arrive angry, spitting, rehearsed, locked and loaded with a speech you have been polishing for 3 weeks. And somewhere between the 4th and 5th minute on that bench, in that particular silence, you will find that the speech has quietly left the building without you. Old-timers say that on very rare occasions, the bench has been found empty and warm, as though someone had just stood up from it. No one in the ward was sitting there. The folklore says those are the nights the bishop is meeting with someone who is not, strictly speaking, in the directory. If the bishop's door opens while you are on the bench, and the person who comes out does not make eye contact, and smells faintly of dust in 1847, do not be alarmed. Stand up, straighten your shirt. It is your turn, and you are ready. The bench says so. This has been the LDS Folklore Hour. A brief update from the Deseret Intelligence Agency. Listeners, you will recall the report from Brother Kimball some weeks back. The Watchers, standing in a circle in a Skull Valley box canyon, chanting hymns backward, summoning a figure from the dust in the long rest. Porter Rockwell walks among us again, and the DIA has been tracking him, with some difficulty as he does not appear on cameras, and he keeps paying for things in currency that has been out of circulation since the Grant administration. The sightings thus far are as follows. On Thursday, he was seen at the gas station on the junction, attempting to purchase a soda. When the card reader asked him to insert his chip, he reportedly stared at it for a long moment and said, "I do not have a chip. I have a reputation." The reader printed a receipt anyway. The receipt was blank except for the words, "Fair enough." On Friday, a chrome sedan with out-of-territory plates was found on Main Street, with all 4 tires flat and a single playing card under the windshield wiper. The card was the ace of spades. The owner of the vehicle, a regional manager for something called Faith Tech Solutions, has not returned to collect it. He has, per his LinkedIn, decided to pursue opportunities elsewhere, effective immediately. On Saturday, Brother Rockwell was seen standing across the street from the Chrome building on Main in Maine. He stood there for 3 hours. He did nothing. He simply looked at the building the way a man looks at a fence post he intends to dig up later, when he has the right tools and a free afternoon. And on Sunday morning, early, a DIA field agent reports that Rockwell stopped her on the road, tipped his hat, and asked a single question. "Which one," he said, "is the man made of mirrors?" The agent gave him directions. We do not know if this was wise. We do know that it was honest. The DIA reminds all residents, Porter Rockwell is a historical figure, a folk legend, and technically deceased. If he asks you for directions, give them. If he asks you what year it is, answer truthfully and do not editorialize. If he asks to see your shooting piece, he means your phone, and you should not give it to him. The last phone he inspected is now in the Salt Lake. The lake has refused to give it back. The lake has standards. More on the Loaf, because by sacrament meeting, the ward had a decision to make. The options, as laid out by the bishopric. 1. Use the Loaf. Trust it. It tastes like every childhood in the room, which is either the most comforting thing imaginable or the single most sophisticated manipulation the Chrome Man has ever attempted. Both possibilities were raised. The phrase, emotional Trojan horse, was used by Brother Hendricks, twice. 2. Do not use the Loaf. Send a deacon to the store for bread, mid-meeting, which has been done before. The great bread run of 2019 is still spoken of in the clerk's office in hushed, reverent tones, but which would mean starting the meeting late, and Sister Barlow pointed out that the last time this ward delayed the sacrament, it snowed, in June. 3. Sister Patterson's suggestion. Sister Patterson, you will recall, is the woman who entered an uncarved potato in the unsanctioned Pinewood Derby and won. Her suggestion was characteristically simple. Ask the building, she said. There was a silence. Then everyone turned slowly and looked at the walls, because by that point, listeners, we had all begun to suspect. Before I tell you what the building said, I must go to Brother Chase, our intern, who has been conducting his own investigation, and who I have just been handed a note from. Chase, who remains on nursery probation, who has had his plastic banana privileges revoked pending review, who arrived at the station this morning wearing 3 name tags, none of them his. Chase spent Sunday afternoon in the meeting house kitchen. Here is his report, which I am reading verbatim. Boss. Okay, so the oven in the kitchen hasn't worked since 1997. I checked. It doesn't even get mad when you turn the knob, it just sits there like a dog that retired. But the oven was warm, and the flour bin in the Relief Society cupboard, the big one, the food storage wheat from 1981 that the manual says you can totally still use if you're brave. It was open, and there was wheat ground into flour, fresh, still warm, and nobody in this ward owns a wheat grinder. I checked. I asked everyone, even the Dwelt. The Dwelt said no, but also offered to sell me a goat. And boss, the mixing bowl in the kitchen cupboard. It was clean, recently clean. Someone had washed it and put it away wrong, upside down, like a person who was very polite but had never once done dishes in a church kitchen and was guessing. That's all I have. The goat is named Miracle. I did not buy the goat. I want to be clear that I did not buy the goat. The goat is in my car. Chase. Listeners, Chase bought the goat. We will address the goat at a later time. And now, a message from our intern, Chase.
Crossed 1,000 miles of sage in the starless night, carried all our sorrows in a wagon bed, and the heavens whispered what the prophets said. There's a flame unending in the desert sky, every star a witness, every tear a sign. We'll build a holy city where the lilies grow, and the Lord will lead us where we need to go. if every choice you made was a song on a jukebox of the infinite, and the needle fell exactly where the light was shining. There's a flame unending in the desert sky, every star a witness, every tear a sign. We'll build a holy city where the lilies grow, and the Lord will lead us where we need to go. We'll build a holy city in the desert sky.
We are back. When the ward turned to look at the walls did nothing at first. Buildings, like testimonies, should not be rushed. Then Brother Lund noticed the thermostat. The chapel thermostat, which has displayed a permanent, unblinking 68 degrees since the Kimball administration, regardless of season, regardless of the actual temperature, regardless of how many times Brother Hendricks has threatened it. The thermostat read 71, then 72, then a number that is not a temperature. Then, slowly, digit by digit, it spelled out nothing at all, because it is a thermostat and cannot spell. But the effort was unmistakable. Sister Patterson walked to the nearest wall and put her hand flat against it, the way you check on a sleeping child. "Did you bake us bread?" she said. It was not a question. The lights dimmed once, warm, like a nod. The organ, which no one was playing, sounded a single low note, the lowest C, the one Sister Gable's left foot claims as its personal stewardship, and held it, soft and steady, like an old dog sighing in its sleep. The chapel had baked the loaf. Think about it, listeners. This building has stood on this corner for 51 years. It has watched us arrive as babies and leave as missionaries and return as exhausted parents carrying casseroles and grudges and hope. It has held every funeral potatoes luncheon, every basketball game that ended in a near testimony-shattering foul, every 5-year-old whisper singing into a microphone with a volume that could level Jericho. It has absorbed 51 years of our bread, our noise, our grief, our terrible skits. It has never once been able to contribute. Buildings cannot bring a snack. Buildings cannot sign up on the sheet. Buildings cannot be assigned talks, no matter how the elders' quorum presidency feels about it. Until, apparently now. It used the old wheat, the wheat that remembered being wheat, the wheat that remembers the scythe. It warmed an oven that has been dead since 1997 with sheer 50-year wanting. And it washed the bowl afterward and put it away upside down because it had never done dishes before and was guessing. It tried its best. It tried its best in the exact way we have all tried our best in that kitchen, and gotten it wrong, and been loved anyway. The vote was not close. The loaf was used. And here is the part I did not expect, listeners, the part I am still turning over. The meeting was better. Not perfect, better. The talks ran long, as talks do. A toddler escaped his row during the intermediate hymn and made it 4 full pews toward freedom before being reeled in by a grandmother with reflexes honed by 6 decades of exactly this. The deacons dropped the tray once, only once, and Brother Okafor's talk on Providence included a 10-minute tangent about mango trees that nobody would trade for anything. But when the bread came down the rows, everyone in that chapel tasted something different, and the same. The sister who joined the church at 40 and has no childhood ward to remember, tasted the ward her grandmother used to describe to her, the one she had only ever seen in photographs, all of which smell like a basement in her memory. The boy who will be baptized next month tasted nothing unusual at all, just bread, good bread, warm bread. He said, "It tastes like here." And then he shrugged, because he is 8, and everything still tastes like here, and may it be many years before it doesn't. And Brother Kimball, the rancher, the man who saw the watchers in the canyon and has not slept properly since. Brother Kimball told me afterward that he tasted the sacrament bread from his own mission farewell, 40 years ago, the last Sunday his father ever attended church. "I've been carrying that morning around like a stone," he said. "Turns out it was bread the whole time." Let's go to traffic and weather. Traffic. I-15 is moving well tonight, except for a slowdown near the point of the mountain, where drivers are braking to read a billboard that was not there this morning. The billboard is blank. It is chrome. It reflects everything except your face, which it replaces with the face of a more efficient version of you. The efficient version of you is smiling. The efficient version of you has never once hit traffic. Do not make eye contact with the efficient version of you. Take the frontage road. The frontage road knows things. Also, a goat has been reported in the median near the Highway 36 junction. Do not attempt to collect the goat. The goat is spoken for. The goat's name is Miracle, and a very tired intern will be along to collect him as soon as he finishes this broadcast. And no, I am not happy about it. And yes, the goat is also in my heart now, and I do not want to talk about it. Weather. Tonight will be 66 degrees and well-meaning. Skies will be clear except for one small cloud shaped exactly like the ward's floor plan, which will drift slowly over the valley all night, checking on things. It has always done this. We have only recently learned to notice. Expect a light overnight drizzle of flour near the meeting house. Do not be alarmed. Do not sweep it up before dawn. Some of it is still deciding what it wants to become. UV index tomorrow. Moderate. Wear sunscreen. The sun has been reading the ward directory and knows who has been skipping. A final thought and a few final items for tonight. First, the Chrome building on Main and Main was dark this evening. Not closed, not gone. Dark. The lights were off behind that mirror glass for the first time since it appeared. I do not know what the Chrome man is doing in there in the dark. I do not know if he is planning or charging or, worse, listening to something. But a man who sells convenience should not be comfortable in the dark, and the fact that he is should concern us. Second, the seat in the second row of the chapel, the one on the seating chart labeled Child Reviewed. Sister Madsen checked it on her way out tonight. The cushion was warm. The hymn book on the pew was open to, "I am a child of God." No one had opened it. No one had sat there. We still do not know who the seat is for, but someone, or something, in this valley has already decided they belong to it. And on this of all nights, after watching a 51-year-old building teach itself to bake bread just to have something to bring to the table, I find I cannot call that frightening. I find I am saving them a seat too. And third, Porter Rockwell was seen tonight at dusk, standing in the middle of Main Street, looking at the dark Chrome building. A witness says he stood there a long time. Then he spat in the dust, turned up his collar and said, to no one, to everyone, to the building itself, "Take your time, friend. I've waited 100 years to rest. I can wait a few more days for work." He walked off into the desert then, and the desert, as it always has, made room. So tonight, saints, the lesson is not about the Chrome man. It is not about Utah, or efficiency, or the smoothness. For once, the lesson is simpler than all of that. It is about a building that had nothing to bring and brought bread anyway. We spend so much time worrying about what is encroaching on Deseret that we forget to notice what is holding it up. The old walls, the warm ovens that died in 1997 and were never replaced because some clerk in 1988 wrote a number in a budget book and the number became tradition. The wheat in the cupboard that everyone was afraid of. The bench that knows when you're ready. The seat that is being saved. Deseret is not under attack from the outside tonight. Deseret is for once just hosting. So bring what you have. Bring the braided loaf. Bring the uncarved potato. Bring the goat if it comes to that, though I am still processing the goat. Bring the wrong thing washed imperfectly and put away upside down. It will be received. It has always been received. Stay peculiar, Deseret. Stay warm and a little underdone. And if your walls start humming tonight, let them. They've earned a verse. Good night, saints. Good night, strangers. Good night to the building on the corner which is listening. Good night to the warm seat in the second row. And good night to the man in the long coat, walking the border in the dark, whistling something with no tune that the coyotes have learned not to answer. Good night.